Oregon, they were number 10, but now they're number 9 ranked Oregon. Went up against, at the time, number 19 ranked Colorado. They dropped out of the AP Top 25. And then they absolutely took care of business. The head coach was talking smack. We play for we don't play for clicks or something like that. Obviously referencing all the hype that the Colorado Buffaloes are getting, but they took care of business on every single facet of the game. They beat Colorado and Deion Sanders. They beat them 42-6. That was the Buffaloes' first loss of the season after winning some very, very, interesting and exciting games.
Exciting games.
So I'll ask you, are you surprised that Colorado had literally zero answer for anything the Oregon Ducks did?
I am surprised. I think Deion Sanders surrounded himself with a pretty good coaching staff, and a lot of players transferred in to play for him. They didn't have Hunter playing, and that hurt them because the guy that they had in there playing the cornerback position in place of Hunter, he got burned, and they went after him a lot of passing plays, and he clearly didn't play up to what Hunter would have been able to play up to, and it's a shame because Hunter's out because of a cheap shot by the Colorado State player, and that was uncalled for, and that's just very unsportsmanlike, and it's a shame that he got hurt like that and couldn't play because of that cheap shot, so I think the Colorado coaching staff, the offensive line was horrible for Colorado, that's for sure. But it seems like they should have recognized that and had Sanders, running, going outside the pocket to throw the ball, doing some different maneuvers there, and maybe some really quick short passes or something. Because when he dropped back and looked downfield, he had no time. They would just roll him over. He got sacked multiple times. And I'm sure he was very frustrated. He seemed like he lost his confidence a little bit, too. He didn't play anywhere near like he's played the last few games. So very disappointing. I thought it would be much closer. The Oregon coach was he pumped up his players. They showed him talking, said, "This is not Hollywood." He was all over Deion Sanders about that. I don't know about that. I really think that was kind of in poor taste to do that. But again, pumped up his players, and they won 42-6. So he had it working. But now Colorado's got USC this week too. Those 2 games right in a row. That's tough.
They're going to kill.
USC is number 5, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that game is at Colorado, I believe, right?
I believe it is.
Yeah. So maybe they'll do a little better. I hope so. I don't like seeing Deion get beat like that. I like Deion Sanders.
I'll say this. The Colorado defense had a very, very rough game. Yeah, you bring the offensive line to call them.
The offensive line was a sieve. They couldn't stop them at all. It was like they ran right through there.
To say Colorado have an offensive line against Oregon may be a little bit generous. It seemed like, it reminded me of the Rams-Seattle playoff game a couple of years ago, where every time Russell Wilson snapped the ball, it seemed like he was running for his life. Aaron Donald was on his tail, Leonard Floyd, it was bad. But, it was very bad. Colorado had a very, very difficult time tackling. Troy Franklin, the receiver, he seemed like he caught every single pass that was thrown his way. He had 2 touchdowns, 8 catches for 126 yards. They were getting cooked on every single facet of the game. They couldn't run the ball. Shedeur Sanders, he had, 159 yards and 1 touchdown. Bo Nix was tearing that defense up. What I found interesting was that Oregon had more touchdowns in the first half than Colorado had first downs. That's how great Oregon played against Colorado. But I'll say this when it comes to talking about Colorado. What was the end goal for the season? What was what
national championship?
If they're going for the national championship, they're over their heads. I'm sorry. Even with Deion hyping up his team or whatever the case may be, they were never going to win a national championship in the first season. Would it have been probably the best college football story in history? Maybe. Deion first year going from an HBCU in Jackson State.
Yeah, it would be. It would be the greatest. It would be one of the greatest stories in college football history. A 1-11 Colorado
team going to the national championship. That would be probably the best story in college football history. But what I'll say is, if Colorado loses every single game from here on out, I would already call the season a success. You've already won 3 times the games you won last season. You put Colorado as literally one of the most nationally televised or most followed teams in college football this season. I think they broke a college football viewing record with like 9.3 million viewers.
Yeah.
I think it broke like an ESPN record.
I've been watching them. I'm going to watch them this week against
Colorado
USC.
has never been watched more in the history of Colorado football since Deion got there.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is, this season for Colorado has already been a success, regardless of how the season ends. Shedeur Sanders has looked pretty good. Travis Hunter, he's a 5-star recruit. What he did in week 1 against TCU was incredible. It's unfortunate that he got absolutely, I believe it was a lacerated liver? Skip Bayless reported on.
Really?
It was like a lacerated kidney or a lacerated liver or something like that.
He's back this week, though.
He sort of begged Deion Sanders to see if he could play, but he probably won't play against USC, which is unfortunate because if you were to have Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders against Caleb Williams, I think that would have been an incredible game. Now, sadly, Caleb Williams most likely will go to the NFL next season. Shedur's trying to get to the NFL, but it looks like Deion may lure him back for at least one more season with Colorado. But for me personally, and I could be wrong, people have their opinions. For me, what Deion Sanders did basically from day one with the amount of transfer portal moves, with making players leave and bringing in new people, already winning 3 games, which is 3 more than you won last season. 3 times you won what? You won 1 last year, so 2 more games than you won last season. What I got to say is, this season, at least in my eyes, what Deion did for Colorado and the culture he's building for Colorado football, I would personally already call this season a success for them.
Well,
even if their win-loss record doesn't
I don't
say that.
disagree. I think, though, that their coaching staff has got to make adjustments during the game. Their offense made no adjustments. He kept dropping back there and looking downfield, and he had no time.
Right.
He had been rolling out. He should have been rolling out or having some really quick-hitting short passes, or maybe a draw play once in a while. I just think they didn't mix it up enough. They could have done a little better than that, I think. I was surprised by that. I thought that their offense would make some adjustments. And Shedeur Sanders is a very athletic quarterback. He could run the ball maybe a few times too.
Yeah.
Instead, he never really tried to run it himself. He could have tried that a couple of times too. That might have shaken up they seemed to know every play what was coming. The Oregon defense it was disappointing.
And what I'll say, was it Lanning, the head coach of Oregon's getting a lot of heat for how he hyped up his players. Hey, if you have millions of people watching you, live in the moment. If that's what you do to hype, clearly it worked.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think of how he did it, it clearly worked. You took over the game. You crushed them. On national, like this was viewed by probably 5. I haven't looked at the actual numbers, but if I had to take a guess, just based on the hype of it, this was probably viewed by over 5 million people.
Oh, I bet more.
Oh, yeah, probably way more. So if you're, regardless of how you think of the hype, it worked. It clearly worked. So regardless of the tactic of it, morally it may be, disrespectful to say that we're not playing for clicks, obviously taking a shot at what Deion's doing. I mean, it worked. So
I think it's a low blow to pick on the other coach, saying, this isn't Hollywood. Deion Sanders is a Hall of Fame player.
What I'll say,
he's one of the greatest players in NFL history.
I'd probably say he's the best.
And look what he's done. Look what he's done in his coaching career. He didn't have to go out and coach, right? He didn't have to do that. He made tons of money playing football and with his endorsements and all that stuff. He's a top flight guy. I think you'd give him a little more respect than that.
I'll say this about Deion. He never starts any of this. The Colorado State thing was uncalled for.
He didn't start that. The other coach was saying he was wearing sunglasses. Gave a crack at him for
when
playing
you talk
sunglasses.
to adults, you take off your hat. And, completely uncalled for. Completely uncalled for. Deion never starts anything. But it's just the aura that Deion brings that I think,
they're jealous of him.
It's different. I mean, Oregon with Justin Herbert was great. It was fun to watch. But now, Oregon plays well. They're not as nationally televised as Colorado was a horrible team last year. Went 1-11. Deion comes in. They're one of the most viewed teams in college football over Alabama and all these teams.
I would say if he can hang on to Shedeur, and probably Shedeur will come back and play for him next season, and his other son, they play. The way the top flight recruits watching this. I bet he'll have a team that can compete for the national championship next year.
This is probably the worst Colorado team under Deion Sanders we will see. Because I guarantee you what Deion's doing and it's very, very attractive what Deion's doing, building that culture, building the team up. I guarantee you we'll see. I mean, he's already Travis Hunter. I believe he stole Travis Hunter away from many, many other great teams. And so this is probably the worst Colorado Buffalo football team we're going to see in Deion's tenure there. I think a lot of top recruits are going to come to Colorado.
Well, the
and
season's still pretty young. I mean, they had that terrible game. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. I say,
they're going to get killed by USC.
Maybe, but they have some games they can win later on. They may make a bowl. They might make it to a bowl game.
I think next week against USC or this week against USC, they're going to get slaughtered.
What is did their ranking drop? Now?
They're out of the top 25.
They're out of the top 25 now. Yeah. Well, that's tough.
I mean, when you lose 42-6,
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
I know. You had to suspect it a little bit when they went into overtime against Colorado State. I don't think Colorado State's anything special.
And now you're going up against USC, which is easily probably not rated wise, but they're
number 5.
They're number 5, but I think just personnel-wise and the quarterback you have, they're the best team in college football. Regardless of that's what I think. Caleb Williams is probably going to go number 1 if he declares for this draft. So I really think based on what Bo Nix was doing to the Colorado defense, Caleb Williams, he's going to smoke this defense. So it's unfortunate that you go play Colorado, a top 10 team now moved up to number 9, and then you go play USC with the number 1 pick in probably this upcoming year's draft.
Yeah, it's too bad they're back-to-back, those games.
I think it would have been better if Travis Hunter was playing. At least it would be more...
I'm sure, for sure it would be.
It would be more of a highlighted game.
That gives their offense a lot more pop.
Not only that, you had a defensive
and he's a
piece
very good defensive player, too.
Yeah, he had a goal line interception against... a beautiful interception goal line against TCU. So it's unfortunate that Travis Hunter will probably be out for this game. I would love to see that. USC, Colorado, Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Shiloh Sanders, Caleb Williams, and that USC squad is loaded. So it's unfortunate, but we'll
be watching.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very entertaining. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.